welcome. Greetings and salutations to you, and I hope you are having a fabulous day. I decided to do some blue lipstick today, but I'm not sure if I'm really liking this so much. Probably not going to do this again, but it's on here for now and I'm not going to change it, so here we go. I wanted to make this video today, broadcasting live from my bed at home, all nice and comfy, to kind of introduce myself, talk about what I do, talk about some of the beliefs that I have, and kind of my history and background in astrology. So I have had a lifelong interest in astrology since as long as I can remember, probably first or second grade, when I learned how to read. Not very well, obviously, but I could read. And my mother was religious, and so we would be at the bookstore and she would be in her religious section, and of course they always put the religious and the occult sections right next to each other. So she would be in her section, I would be in my section right next door, and reading about tarot and astrology and witchcraft and you know, different gods and goddesses and Wicca and all these sorts of things, and it really stuck with me. Pretty much all of what I read at that time, you know, being that young, I didn't really understand, but I really liked the way that it interacted with my imagination, the symbology. I really thought it was far out and wild, the kind of way that it made me think about things, and just kind of the pictures and the creations that would happen in my head when they were describing like the gods and the goddesses, and you know, some of the creatures, the mythical creatures. So I liked it a lot, and it really kind of nurtured that creative aspect in me, and so I've really kind of tried to foster that in my life. But you know, we all have to come down sometimes, so you know, discipline and duty come before that. So I've spent a lot of time just kind of working and figuring it out and trying to decide what I wanted to make of it, you know, having this passion that at the time a lot of people didn't really seem like they were interested in, but it's kind of stuck with me. And so about 3 years ago I decided to take it further and really pursue it intensely. So I've been studying and practicing for about 3 years now. And my goal for the future is I would really like to be able to teach astrology to people. When I am working with people doing charts, a lot of the times they want to know how I learned this, how I got into this, how they can learn too. They're always really interested and they want to know more about it. So I would like to be able to kind of put that together and be able to teach some classes maybe someday, just kind of share the love that it has brought into my life. So I practice lots of different types of astrology. First and foremost, I practice you know, classical, Hellenistic, or Western astrology. I am very interested in the Vedic astrological system, the Navagraha. I know that that is a little bit more of a religious kind of aspect in that, as I think I would compare the Gnostics to. But that's neither here nor there. But that's the Hindu, the Vedic system. I practice horary astrology, which is more of a medieval, I believe, interpretation of astrology, or system of using astrology. I practice esoteric astrology, which is rayology, which says that there are 7 different forms of light that is transmitted from the sun. I'm so sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but this is what I mainly took away from learning about this. But there are 7 different rays of light, and 7 different that each correspond with a different energy. And so through our solar system, each planet consists of a different light ray, and the transmutation of energy, as above, so below, is our different experiences that we have, that we kind of have to overcome. So each ray is a different kind of obstacle or experience that we learn from. And then once we have gone through all 7 rays, we are supposed to be enlightened and you know, have the knowledge of the ascended masters and those sorts of things. So I find that very interesting as well. I do like a draconic astrology, which is where where you are looking more of a soul-based interpretation of astrology, where the same principles apply, but you're just looking at more of a I don't want to say supernatural, but just more of a deep soul-based interpretation there. And how I believe that all the different astrological systems work together, depending on the region of the world that you learned, the system that you learned to use, it has to do with a thing called syncretism. And syncretism says that we all have, or there are fundamental principles that are at work in our universe, because we live in a universe of duality, so you can't have one principle without having the opposing principle also. And they work in tandem as a unit, and no matter where you're from, what region of the world, what culture you belong or identify with, they all have the same, they're all trying to say the same thing. So they're all just these different ways of expressing these fundamental principles that we experience, but we just have different ways of saying that. So for instance, the example that I will use is of the planet Saturn, which Saturn is the Roman god of time, of the harvest, and the same with the Greek god Kronos, which is also a representation of Saturn. So you have the Greek Kronos and the Roman Saturn are both just different words for the same principle. So the principle of time and harvest, because not only did the ancients view the planets as embodiments of, or personifications of gods, they also used their timing for agricultural purposes, like phases of the moon for planting, and in ancient Egyptian astrology, the appearance of the star Sirius meant that the Nile was going to flood. So they had a very multi-layered kind of function in the ancients' lives. So you have the Greek Kronos, the Roman Saturn, and then you have the Hindu Shani, which is the god of karma and justice. So what do the god of the harvest and time have to do with karma and justice? Well, both have to do with a sequential events, okay? So you have your initiation phase, which would be planting the seed if we're going to talk about the harvest. And then if we're going to talk about karma, you have the initiating event, which would be a decision, okay? And then you have this elapse of time, the spans of time before you see the fulfillment of that. If you used good seeds and you harvested on time and you fertilized your soil, then you should have a good harvest at the end. If you did not take the necessary precautions and weren't well planned and didn't use good seeds and didn't nurture your soil well, the karma of that would be a poor harvest. So you can kind of see how those go together. They just have different functions and interpretations there for those two different regions of the world. And so through syncretism, we can kind of take an overall kind of outside look, an expanded view, and kind of see how we're all trying to communicate together. We just have different expressions, and I really thought and think still that is so beautiful, and I really enjoy communicating that and continuing that on. So if you feel like I do, if you're interested in this too, let's talk, let's chat, leave me a comment. I have a Facebook and a Instagram, which I'm not sure if they have those in my channel, but I will definitely put them somewhere in here. I'm fairly new to this, so I'm not so great at technology yet, but I'm working on it. So hope to see you guys soon, and take care until then, and yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.